Oh, hey there! You just saw me machining a new pulley for the brute force concept engine. I have a couple of more bits to machine and it will be ready for testing again. And the PIP engine, the world's most powerful two-stroke, conventional two-stroke, it's still here, just needs a dyno, and I'm going to build that dyno. I've got a bunch of parts behind me here. So I'm just saying I haven't forgotten about these things, even though I've been out on a tangent lately. Still on a tangent though, and today we realize a dream I had way back when this NSU quickly as my daily commute. It had that Tomos engine, not because it looked cool, it did though, but because I could barely afford to eat. And this was cheap to buy. It was complete trash, still is, and cheap to drive. Let's pour a glass of imaginary rum this time. And I'll step into character as myself way back then, and we'll start building. This will be a more hacksaw and files build for nostalgia reasons. Not saying there's no CNCs allowed, but just feel like doing stuff that way again. Something with this bike. I knew it the moment I pulled it down from the shelf there. The frame is more flimsy than your average bicycle. The brakes are non-existent, it's completely rigid. I deleted the front shocks. I am going to fix up this tire. Half the spokes are broken, they're slack, and yeah, order new spokes and rims. Let's get to work. I'm cutting out the pieces of the frame that's in the way for the new engine. I want it as high as possible without breaking into that line of the frame, and mostly for looks and clearance for a pipe. So here I'm propping up the engine. That's a Derby Euro 2 Rabasa, as they're called, engine. I think that's one of the best moped engines bases for tuning. Mostly because the stud pattern is wider than most, 57 by 57. I'm propping it up and taking some measurements, aligning the sprocket with the rear sprocket. And here I'm marking and cutting a simple cardboard template. Just making it kind of crude at the beginning here and making it fit around the engine, and then I mark and cut to suit, as you'll see. So here I'm marking places where I should have done it differently, and also places I have to cut away and make clearance or make wider for around that big bolt there. And I'm using some transfer punch, and I'm punching from the other side. You can't see it because of my hat. Scribing the outline on a piece of aluminium and punching the holes. Cutting it out with a hacksaw. This is a really bad hacksaw. It's there's something wrong with it, so the blade keeps jumping off that guide there, but it works in a pinch. Lots of filing. Filing aluminium with coarse files isn't really that bad. It's fast. It's almost like working with wood and some sanding. I have this combined small drum sander and belt sander. It works really great. Just a cheap, like a Harbor Freight thing. Drilling holes. Notice I've clamped the work this time. I fit up and marking places where I need clearance. And more holes. These are the holes for the frame. I made them small at first so that it would be easier to transfer over to the frame, or more accurate. And I'm drilling the frame small first to 6 millimeters,
And as you'll see, I drilled them out once I've taken that adapter plate off. Block of aluminium as a brace. Transferring the marks, transferring the holes, I mean. And I've drilled them off camera. And it fits. Nice. Fitting up the engine, and luckily the holes line up and there's no binding or anything. There's not much clearance between the rear wheel and the plate though, so I'm fixing that later. Checking foot placement, should be fine. And I'm not making a plate for the other side, I'm just welding a bracket to that large bolt on the engine and to the frame. I'm banging it to close the gap. Clutch cable. As you will see soon, this doesn't really work. That thing doesn't clamp hard enough on the cable. And I'll fix that now with a small set screw, which I'm dropping in there too. So there's less clearance for the cable, and so that bolt will pinch harder. Could have used a longer bolt, but it's M7, of course. And now it works fine. Need a radiator. It would probably be cooler with air cooled, and to not screw up the lines of the frame with that radiator, but water cooled is just better in every way. And here I'm making a bracket for that radiator, the upper brackets. Transferring the hole and breaking a drill bit. Tapping. Not the most beautiful bracket, but who cares? And it works. I'm bending it a little bit to center the radiator better. Another bracket. That bushing there, that's the rubber bushing, that is actually meant for pulling electrical wires through things. And it works a treat as a radiator brackets, I think, bushings. I'm bending that plate too much and I'm causing a tear. So now I'm filing the tear out in hope of that making it less prone to cracking all the way. Probably not much help though. It fits just fine. So I'm making a mark. I've drilled it and transferring. I'm breaking another drill bit. Hooray! Join me next year, same day for celebrating Broken Drill Bit Day. A shot of my welding there to kind of say, look, I have gotten better at welding, at least.
I haven't got anything M12 by 1 millimeter. So a little dirty fix here. I will order a fuel valve or a nipple to replace this with, but just as a temporary solution. This may or may not leak badly. Perfect for a death trap. I'm not sure where I'll put a carb yet, so we'll leave this long. It is tight on there. If it doesn't leak, maybe not such a bad solution after all.
Vacuuming all the dust and grime and dirt off the engine now before I remove it from the frame. I'm going to not split it, but pull off the clutch cover and inspect.
Ah, fuck. I dropped it on my fingers. Carry on.
I'm creating clearance in that bracket now for the tire and the wheel. Removing the old piston. There's a lot of blow-by on that piston. He's probably been riding and seizing multiple times and just kept on riding. Realize I don't have a puller that fits the threads on the flywheel, so I tap those holes for M10 bolts and make up a quick puller. And it works fine. Needs a little persuasion there. I've ordered a new ignition unit, same as on the PIP engine, because there's few wires and it just seems reliable and simple. A fixed curve, so no need for those parts anymore. I realize it's really dirty and decide to do a quick cleanup. It's not a good idea to take an engine apart while it's dirty, because all the dirt can potentially get into the engine, and that's no good. At this point I realized I hadn't drained the oil, or soon. There I realized, and I'm draining the oil. And I say yuck, because that's not the best oil I've seen. And there's very little in there. And I'm thinking it's been running with not enough oil. But when I take it apart, the rest of the oil comes pouring out. So it's still bad. That oil was not good.
There's yellow springs in here, probably an upgrade. I've ordered a new clutch regardless, but it looks okay though. No major damage to anything here. Not much wear either. That oil was probably never changed. It's been sitting for a while. I've got some stock plates here and seem to be exactly the same. So these are stock clutch plates. Very likely. There are markings on those stock ones here. Probably some kind of aftermarket. No, they're not exactly the same. So these are probably aftermarket plates of unknown quality. We'll replace them. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Next time we'll install all the Go Fast bits I've ordered for the engine, get it into the frame and test ride. This will not be a project that drags out over weeks. As fast as possible. I really want something to ride around on now. Unusual, but I do. See you next time.